In your opinion, why don't you believe that feminism tackles gender equality?
If feminism was trying to tackle gender equality, it would stand up for rights of both men and women equally.
Has too often become synonymous with man-hating. If there is one thing I know for certain, it is that this has to stop.
Feminism, the advocacy of equality between both sexes. Feminism has evolved into the most prominent social movement in the 21st century. The word feminism today carries with it a negative connotations.
For a movement that originally strives for equality, then you must either not believe in equality or it is not representing equality anymore. Which begs the question, is feminism still relevant? I'm Reuben and I believe in equality.
I'm Tiff and I am a feminist. Our first stop was Bristol, where we held interviews with members of the public. Yeah, okay, right. You ready? Yeah? You all good? Brandon?
Yes, I'm
yeah?
good.
Okay.
I'm good.
So what do you think feminism is?
What do I think it is?
It's just equal rights for women, the same as men, really.
I think it's a concept.
Concept?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's wanting equality for both sexes.
Ditto. Do you think feminism is mainly about equality?
I think it's about equality, but it's also about recognizing violence that has been happening.
Yes, but because of a lot of Nazi feminism, they take it too far, and often it gets misconstrued as women presiding over everyone else.
So I think it's equality in terms of like trying to know what advantages and disadvantages we all experience and do what we can to level the playing field, rather than just like equality being where you just treat everyone the same. I don't think that's actually equality.
Brilliant.
Can you name 2 female issues that feminists are trying to tackle in society today?
Equality in the workplace.
Equality in the workplace.
Job promotion. Certainly there is a ceiling that women can't reach easily, and they've got to be tougher than men to get there.
Okay, so the 2 common issues during to do with pay and potentially position, I'd imagine. Those are the 2 main ones, but I know in some fields it's actually changing quite drastically.
Two male issues.
2 male issues.
Men.
I'm not sure if feminism is tackling it per se, but the suicide rate's a lot higher for men.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know that, with November and everything going on. Another male issue, I don't know actually, I can't think of another one to be honest, but I'm sure there is more, but I can't think of one now.
The question, I actually can't think of 2 that I'm sure about.
No, I don't think I can.
Old age and being constantly drunk, possibly.
Do you feel that feminism is still needed as it was 100 years ago, like with the suffragettes?
Oh yeah, I think it's always every single issue that as a society we face renews itself according to the context, according to the problems that we face dynamically and shiftingly. So definitely.
I don't think it is
Not as much, but definitely.
I think there's some places that it is and some places where
we've
it isn't.
come a long way.
Definitely.
I think it's still needed. I think you still need to be aware of it and to be on top of it. Otherwise you'll be squashed again.
it's needed where it's appropriate. I think when it comes to situations where it's quite obvious there's inequality, there's some working environments, I've even been myself, where it's very much male dominated, and that type of rugby team or football team culture comes into play, and it can then, I think that's where it's always required to make sure that inequality is not happening and it's more equal across the whole board.
We have secured interviews with an openly opposed feminist called Matt.
And a self-proclaimed feminist named Martha. Both went to interview Martha at college.
Later that day, I went to interview Matt in Portishead.
How do you personally identify with feminism?
I guess because I am a female and I'd like to have equal rights to every gender.
What do you think feminism is?
Traditional feminism is the belief that both genders should be equal in matters regarding economic, political and social issues.
In your eyes, what is feminism, like as a whole?
I'd say it's the equality of all sexes, not just like rights for women and not just rights for men.
If feminism was trying to tackle gender equality, it would stand up for rights of both men and women equally. That's what gender equality is supposed to be about. There are male issues that they just ignore and act like they're not there, and that women get it hardest and they have a way harder life and it's way more difficult for them in all their situations through life, and they have to be more resilient and more independent to do anything, and that we should praise all women. However, these are not the views of most women. Most women work hard and appreciate a man's help, and a man very much appreciates a woman's help, and we get on in syncrecy.
Can you name 3 male issues that feminism is trying to tackle?
I'd say there's the male rape victims. So like men are often sort of disregarded and told that they can't be raped, but they can. Whereas women get all the attention for it, which isn't fair, even though it's a very serious issue. Can't think. I noticed there's one that I can't think of.
Feminism itself isn't really trying to tackle any male issues. However, there are male issues that should be tackled in an appropriate way. One of which is rights to the child after it's born. Another is job roles in society. Being a house husband is still looked down upon, and women would complain a lot if a job role for them was looked down upon by men. They would go up in arms and have the media all on one side about things. However, men haven't really got that on our side, and we haven't progressed enough to be able to have jobs that we're not looked down upon. If a male is a nurse, people will still turn their nose up at it. These are problems men face daily. Also, a kind of self-caused male issue is men not feeling free to talk about male issues. It's not seen as politically acceptable, socially acceptable for men to talk about male issues, male suicide, male problems, cancer. It's not seen as acceptable as women, and I think this is something that definitely needs to be tackled in an appropriate way.
Can you name 3 female issues that feminism is trying to tackle?
One of which is
women still don't have equal pay in America. And then I'd say there's the whole thing about child marriages and victims having to marry their rapists in third world countries.
The gender pay gap, or what they think is a gender pay gap. Another is the rights to their civil liberties regarding their child, and before it's born, and abortion rights, and then after it's born. There's a lot of blurred lines between what's right and what's wrong in those situations in society. And also the Free the Nipple movement is something they seem to raise an issue about.
The whole thing.
I'd say there's the Free the Nipple movement,
I do not believe in any element of the Free the Nipple campaign.
which is about breastfeeding in public.
I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's an issue which is self-caused and not relevant. It's nothing to do with equality, and I think it stands for something which isn't right. And a lot of women would agree when I say that there are some situations where we're freeing the nipple in public is not socially or just generally acceptable and should never be acceptable.
Reflecting upon the footage we have documented, we feel that feminism is still hugely relevant in the terms of the original definition of feminism.
However, what is so hugely prominent is a radicalised form of feminism and so-called feminists who make hateful and biased statements regarding men and in turn cause a negative generalisation over the original aim of the movement, feminism.
Have options in life and the same options as a man, and that's a really important thing that needs to be kept. I just can't.